Hello, my name is Meera Bhatt, and I'm a junior at Montgomery High School in New Jersey. As I started thinking about what I wanted to major in college and what my career should be, I felt very lost. In talking with my family and friends, I realized that so many other people are also in the same boat as me. Speaking with guidance counselors, searching the internet endlessly, or other options proved to be even more confusing and created even more chaos for me. That's when I realized there has to be a better way to bring clarity about careers and colleges. This brings us to this session. I hope that this session brings insight and real life perspective for you, where you will learn with me as I interview people from a wide range of careers and professions. These are individuals who are established professionals in their careers. I hope that through these interviews, we will receive a holistic understanding of a few careers and pathways to success. Today, we have a very inspirational and interesting executive, Mr. Agam Upadhyay, whose journey began in India, which has led him to becoming the Chief Technology Officer and Senior Vice President of a Fortune 500 corporation and one of the top 10 global pharmaceutical companies, GSK, also known as GlaxoSmithKline. Before being appointed to this role, Mr. Upadhyay worked in increasing roles and responsibilities at companies like Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, Bank of America, and Ernst & Young. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Upadhyay.
Yeah, no, Meera, thank you. Thanks for inviting me. Thank you.
Yes.
And by the way, it is Bank of New York, not Bank of America. Just a little correction. But
Oh, okay.
well,
Sorry about that. So it's truly an honor to be speaking with you and learning from an executive like you. So we're looking forward to hearing about your inspirational journey. So I was hoping that you could start with your education background, where you went to college and what you decided to pursue there.
yeah. So I went to college back in India, and I did my graduation in electrical engineering. As long as I remember, when I was growing up as a kid, that's all I wanted to be. I wanted to be an engineer. I love math, I love physics, I love science growing up, and just that's what I wanted. So I studied hard and then got into engineering college, and that's what I did. So I graduated in '95, quite a while back, in electrical engineering.
Okay. And so how did that lead you to your field experience here in America? How did whatever you studied end up being what you worked at in these big corporations?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting journey, Meera, and I think let me spend a few minutes to tell you the journey that will actually also answer or open a lot of different questions, as I say, right? So um, I always wanted to be an engineer, and that too, electrical engineer, some electronics as well was involved back then. Now remember, this is '95. At that time, the IT industry, or what we know today, or technology industry, did not exist. I mean, the computer industry was coming up, but it was the infancy, and the roles, like the current role that I have, chief technology officer, did not exist back then. So, and I was not even a computer science major. Remember, I was electrical engineering because that's what I wanted to. And my whole plan at that time was I'm going to do electrical engineering. I'm going to find a job in either Tata or ABB or Schneider or some large electrical engineering, distribution line, electrical power plants, or industrial motors kind of organization. Then I'm going to do my master's, maybe industrial management MBA, and then I'm going to be doing this and that. Well, obviously none of that worked. That was the whole plan was actually never even executed. Um, uh, the first company that came to campus recruitment where I was studying, it was a Hewlett Packard and the merger of local HCL and HP, was HCL Hewlett Packard. And for whatever reason, they offered me a job. Now, here is the point which I want to make sure that kids understand. Now, right there, at that point of time, I had to make a decision. And by the way, a decision which is risk oriented, which means should I deviate from my line that I was in, which is electrical engineering. I was very good at it, study. I was like one of the top students in there, and I had a path. Now, something came in front of me, which was completely, I was not prepared for. So at that point of time, I had a lot of people I reached out, like what you're doing right now. I was confused and I did not know. And people said, "Look, you're young. This seems like a good opportunity. Seems like this is upcoming industry in front of us. Why don't you try it, right?" And then that's the first risk I took, which means I deviated, and hence I came to the technology industry, right at the first job. And that was the start, Meera, that put me in the technology industry. So I worked with HP, and then got a chance to come to US in late 90s. And then it just led to various things. Now, everything that I have done all through my career has almost very small relevance to what I studied from the perspective of academics, right?
Right.
Because I said it was electrical engineering, it was a hardcore, electrical design and machines. Um, but the relevance that's there is the hard work, the analytical ability that came along with it, along with the passion and the ability to shape and solve the problem. So all those relevance came through, but the actual academic study that I did actually did not have anything to do with what I've done throughout my career, starting from first job.
Right. Oh, so thank you for that. I think it's a good takeaway for us to realize that what I think a lot of people know that what you study isn't always what you do, but also like some of the core principles that you develop in whatever you think that you might study can, help you along through your whole life, really.
Right.
So do you think that for the profession that you're in now and potentially even engineering, as that's what you had studied, there are certain people who are better suited for that, like certain skills or personality types?
I think so. I think the role that I think that's a good question, and also a good kind of parallel to connect to it is that although the academic self was not directly, but I think the everything that I've done all my career, all the roles that I had a very sound engineering principles behind those, that you learn through it, and then you adopt them, and then you drive forward. So I think that when you say a certain type of personality, absolutely. So this required people with the left brain. I mean, the people who have a strong analytical ability, the people who are good in math, good in science, good in understanding and kind of grasping faster from technology perspective. Because one thing, and I think I said it earlier, that the industry has evolved so much. A lot of these jobs, a lot of things that we do today did not exist. And while on the job, I think, believe it or not, I mean, even after 25 years later, I'm still learning. I mean, I don't think there's a day go by where I don't have to study and stay on my toes all the time to
Right.
learn, because things are, and there's a Moore's law, one of those, but then everything else around it is changing so fast, and it's evolving so fast that in order for us to stay ahead, in order for us to be the leader that we need to be, the learning is extremely critical. So you have to have the engineering mindset, you have to have a learning and the grasping and always staying on your toes kind of attitude in order for industry to thrive. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And so, also going off of that, what is the scope of the profession and status of this industry for the future? Like you said, it's changed so much in the last 20 years, and how is it going to change going forward in the next 20 years?
A lot, because of everything that changed around it, right? So when I started this job that I am in the technology area, my job basically is a lot of infrastructure and platforms, right? So for the kids who don't know what that means that the compute, the storage, the network, everything that you think of it, that's running everything in the backend, right? So we're on Zoom right now, for example. The
Mhm.
Zoom is running on some server somewhere, right? It has some storage somewhere. It has network connectivity. That's how we are reaching to it, right? So all of those pieces, I was a person always responsible for these kind of pieces, right? And then application platform running on it tremendously changed. But what I started and what is today has really nothing left, nothing common left. So the technology that is shaping up is becoming more and more software oriented. So people who are looking into getting into technology industry need to focus on software. The hardware aspect of it has been almost non-existence, very less left, and by the time you will be out of college, it's completely gone. So it is more and more software oriented. Now within this industry, I think the area that need to be focused on, if you're really looking for a lot of jobs, a lot of high-paying jobs, are going to be in majority three areas. Number one, cybersecurity. Security is becoming, because as more and more devices are connected to internet, the security is becoming extremely critical across the board. So these roles, this knowledge for at least next 10 to 15 years, again, evolving, changing, fast learning, going to be extremely important and required across the globe, and more in US and obviously Western world, but across the globe, huge demand. The second aspect of it is the automation. Now you're hearing about automation, automated cars, you're hearing about all these things. So automation across the board, which means things that robots can do for you. And then robots are not always what you see in the movies, like people,
Mhm.
the robots walking. Robots
Right.
are the things that executing things automatically on your behalf if they're repeated tasks, right? Along with that comes machine learning and AI, artificial intelligence. These two, people who will learn machine learning, people who will invest time and courses in artificial intelligence, learning the relevant languages that basically you use them, huge opportunities in the next 5 to 10 years, huge for it, right? So keeping all those things in mind, and again, more importantly, staying connected with the industry to make sure that you follow the path that how it is trending. Well, that's how I did it, right?
Right.
I always make sure that I'm taking the trainings, I am getting those jobs done, whether it's on the job training or the classroom training, or maybe learning from the people that who can do it better than me. But you have to keep an eye on what those trends are, right? And how do I really stay on that track is so critical.
Right. So, thank you for that. And going off of that, what education for those three different like areas that you talked about, if someone is interested in those things, should they look into certain direct programs? And just from what you know, working in this field, if someone was interested in it, what's the best way to go about the education part?
Yeah, so the people who want to be chief technology officer or a chief information officer in the future, the best path would be to look for engineering, computer science engineering or some engineering branch. And as you get into the engineering school, make sure that the course selection that you do, the major and minors, that they are revolving around cybersecurity, they're revolving around ML and AI, and almost all the major universities now offer these programs. I know for sure, right? So these things are available. But more importantly, you yourself invest in it, invest your time in it, invest your passion in it, invest your learning ability and curiosity in it. It's very important. So I would suggest that the path would be the easier path would be to take the engineering path because it's very organic from the perspective of the growth that comes along with it. Now, having said that, it's funny that how technology is actually changing the overall industry. So I give an example.
Hmm.
The whole machine learning and AI, it doesn't have to be technology. So you may not be required to be a chief technology officer, but let's say if you want to become a chief digital officer, if you want to become a chief procurement officer, if you want to become a chief, supply chain officer, or whatever these various chief roles are out there, actually it is becoming more and more important that you are technology savvy. So even if you work in supply chain, the artificial intelligence, the machine learning, the sensors, and all of those pieces that are there, because people are more and more relying on data to make those decisions. It's no longer hunch, it's no longer your 100 years of experience matters. Actually, it's the amount of data that's available to us. And how can we really analyze the data to make those decisions become more and more important. So even if you take other path, which means you are going in supply chain, you're going in even sales or marketing, when you're going in there, if you think about it today, almost all sales and marketing, everything is done on the technology, right? So things like salesforce.com or Viva, some of these tools available that actually almost it is required for every sales rep to be, completely understanding it, or same thing in marketing office, the professionals. So point I'm making is that even if you are not taking a direct path of engineering and chief technology officer and so forth, I think these areas still equally important for whatever path you take, because it will assist you, it will help you to even get a much better job and be in front of the line as compared to everybody around you.
Right, thank you. So I think that also answered another one of my questions, which was like other related fields that people who are interested in engineering possibly could look into. So I think you named
Yeah.
a few. And so, do you have any specific interests and things that maybe are like streamlined interests that in your job satisfies those? So people who are, in the same boat as you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah, so you want to know that what is part of the job that I enjoy, and the piece
Yeah.
basically that, yeah. So few things, right? First of all, the part of my job I enjoy is the problem solving, right? Almost there's not a single day that goes by in my day-to-day work life that I'm not solving a problem. A
Right.
problem could be anywhere from an operational issue, something is not working, impacting company, right? Problem could be a financial problem, which means you're making a decision that actually helping the company's finances. A problem could be human, because as a leader, when you get to a point, it's not about just technology and machine, but it's also about people you work with. and how you lead the team and so forth. So for me, the first thing that keeps me going is the problem solving. Second thing is that in my role, which I always enjoyed, is that I need to play with technology. Chief Technology Officer, and as a part, and even when this title I did not have, I always had a role where I had to play and I had to, just enjoy, looking at the technology and evaluating it and implementing and solving a business problem using technology. I just love it. I have a passion for it. I mean, I think there's something inside me, that engineer, that always existed. It just, loves that part of the job where, I just got my iPhone 12 Max today, sent to me. And by the way, when I use this thing, I'm actually trying to break it, because I'm playing with the technology. So I'm just trying. I mean, all day I spent today just basically playing with it and trying to find issues and try to find various ways of doing it. So that's one part which really energized me. The third part is that I play a critical role for the organization, and that the responsibility that you carry, that comes along with a lot of dedication, a lot of passion about it, which again I love it. So those are the area, Meera, that I love about Meera.
Okay, that's so really refreshing to hear. So, is there any advice that you could leave people with who are interested in engineering or in the technology field in specific?
Be curious. You know what happens? That a lot of these engineering books are written forever. Think about it. I mean, these books are. I mean, all these various pieces were written for so many years ago, and they're still taught the same thing in the school. Be curious. That's I think that's something that goes a long way. Try to learn, understand the basics, understand why something is there, and for what reason and so forth, and try to find more. Try to bring it and relate it to what's happening in the present. Right. I give an example. I, you know, one of the courses that I did when I was electrical engineer was induction motor. Right now, induction motor is pretty complex motor. It is, and you go through it. But think about somebody like Elon Musk thought about the induction motor and created an electric car. Right now, think about the application of something that induction motor existed forever. Believe me, right? But now look at where it was applied. Similarly, I think as an engineer, it is very important that all of us as engineers, when you go through it, be curious, see how those things that you're learning you can apply in the present and the future problem solving and so forth. So that's something I would every student I always advise, that when you are studying it, just please make sure that you're keeping your curiosity very high. Right, get to it, and then bring the relevance of present time, whatever you're learning.
Right. Thank you so much. If there's anything you'd like to leave us with, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. So what I would suggest, Meera, that look, I was in high school. I mean, it was a while back, but I was in high school, and enjoy this time. First of all, this time will never come back again. So that the school time, and I know the COVID, obviously, for last year and this year has kind of kept us all away from our close ones. But enjoy this time, learn, don't worry too much. Because what happens is, what you don't know, and actually none of us, whatever it is,
Mhm.
as long as you have passion for things, as long as you have done the hard work, you have your ability to kind of go after something and not give up, things will happen. Things will happen in the way you want to. So just don't overthink anything. Don't just too much worried about it. Enjoy the time, and just make sure that you understand your passion. And again, look, things will evolve as you're going through it. Learn, just be interested, just making sure that you're looking inside and learning along with it. And I'm pretty sure for you and all your friends and everybody who's on this journey, good things will happen. That would be my advice, because sometimes people do have tendency of thinking too much and worry too much. Don't do it. You will get where you want to be soon.
Okay, thank you. That was really nice sentiments to leave us all with. So thank you for coming on today, and for all the advice and tips you've given to all of us.
Right, Meera.